Chafing Armor Podcast, episode 126, Chicken Run. Welcome back to the Chafing Armor Podcast. I'm your host and lovable Dungeon Master, Michael Corley, and with me tonight in a special side quest is James. James, tell everyone who you will be playing.
All of my quests are special. I am James. I am playing Pentangelis, a spell scale sorcerer who just keeps getting more and more powerful and yet doesn't look like it.
He does not. This is going to be a fun little side adventure. When we last left the players, they had encountered a horrifying fusion of the Kraken of the Sand Swallow Sea that had been taken over by a Mind Flayer embryo. So now you have 1 month to deliver the completed Staff of Seraphim, of which you currently have a half and don't quite have that. We'll get to that in a second. To the horrifying Mind Flayer, Tradazis. You are to place it upon the oldest tomb in Kalimvor by the next month cycle, or he will destroy all of Kalimvor and then begin destroying cities, not limited and including Masgate, if y'all do not comply. So, to expedite this, the parties split up in order to save time. The team of Tix and Athora went to locate the tomb, which our intrepid listeners will know that they succeeded in. What the listeners don't know is that Distant Bells and Marezi are heading to Zental Keep in order to confront the cult leaders who sent his sister along with the rest of the Wings of Woe in order to kill you. So they are going to do that.
I look forward to listening to that one.
Yeah, it should be really interesting. You have a very, very important task because you must retrieve Audrey 3. Because during your battle with the Wings of Woe, the illusionist Tradazis, no, I'm sorry, not Tradazis, Thradavil, he sent Audrey 3 to Masgate. And 1, you've been to Masgate before. 2, you have the closest connection to Audrey. You are being sent to get that. Now, what has happened is, of course, as spells work, had to take a day to rest and all that good stuff. You are preparing, you've got all your stuff together, which is very little for you.
True.
In fact, tell the listener real quick, what is the sum total of the items that you have?
Well, let's see. I have my trusty staff. I have some probably now pretty worn robes that I got in before we left Masgate, so I've had those around for a while. So they're probably getting pretty fringy. I have like a simple belt pouch. I have a bird, and I recently realized after listening back to some episodes, I have a vial in my pouch.
You do. Tell the listeners what that vial is.
It's as Bigsby the Wizard described it. It is a 5-hour energy drink.
It is.
Go back and listen to that one.
It's a good callback, and he actually offered it to all of you. My thoughts at the time was that you were about to face literally the zombified hand of a Tarask, and I wanted y'all to be at your best, and so I was giving that as an out in case you needed it, but you actually did not need it, so you still have it.
I foolishly dropped the potion of flying to the ground, so I don't have that one, which is sad. But not that I use it.
Not that you need it quite as much as some other people, which we'll get to that as well too. The moment is coming. Y'all are kind of out like in a semi-empty square, so that no bystanders will get hit or anything. And Thradavil is getting ready to teleport you to Masgate. And he asks you is there anywhere particular that you'd like him to try and hit? Because obviously it's a very large city.
Well, I'm probably would want to go to like just the center square, where the shopping district is, kind of maybe near a jeweler's shop, somewhere in that area. Because well, only you know where you sent her, so that would be the first place to look. I did communicate with Scald right afterwards to let her know that there was a giant chicken hut that can phase out of reality running around her square, and maybe she could try and calm it down and get it like wrangled. Who knows what happened there, but somewhere around that area. What I'm wondering, and I present this to, what was his name again? I can't. It's such a weird name. It's not sticking in my head.
It's okay. The illusionist?
The illusionist, yes.
Yes, Thralaville.
Just choking your tongue, and he will arrive. So I will say to Thralaville, you have this really cool teleporting skill that sent Audrey to the other side of the planet. How do you think I'm going to get her back? That's a long trip, sir.
It is. So that's and actually, as the dungeon master, I was going to leave that up to you. You have an option. One is she can fly now, so you can fly back. It is a long trip because this is the very top of the horseshoe-shaped land area of the Sand Swallow Sea. Massgate is roughly in the middle of the right side of that horseshoe, so it is hundreds of miles away.
Right. I mean, so as a bird flies, best guess, how long would that take?
It would.
2 weeks?
A week would be pretty reasonable. Yeah.
And this is flying over water.
Yes, and
so Audrey would have no chance to rest.
No, not unless you found somewhere to rest. She does need to rest when flying more frequently, and she does need to feed more frequently.
Right.
When she's flying.
So what I'm thinking is, why doesn't this jerk who sent our hut across the planet come with us and help bring her back with that cool spell? Since he's responsible for doing this.
If you're comfortable with that, then what he could do is he doesn't need to send Tix and Athora because they're searching here.
Right.
He could first send Morezi and Distant Bells. If you ask him, well, first of all, I know this is going to be really hard for you, but I would like you to persuade him.
Perhaps with some diplomacy.
Yes, with diplomacy, yes. Once again, my 5e always tries to creep in on me. But yes, I would like you to use your diplomacy, which I know you are quite terrible at.
Right. I just need to... Where the heck did I put my dice? This is tragic. Hold on just a second.
This is just a fun little mini fact for the listener while you get that. Right now, I actually couldn't find my dice at first because Izzy actually is meeting with her friends, because they're all fully vaccinated now and all that good stuff, is meeting with them, and she is actually dungeon mastering right now, and I believe she is taking them on Curse of Strahd.
I don't say blah, blah, blah.
She told me that she was practicing her Romanian accent, so I'll have to have her do an example of that when we get to her adventures.
Yes, please.
And see how that is. But yes, so as we speak in real time, Izzy is actually dungeon mastering, and of course, I could not be more proud.
Of course, absolutely. We should all have such nerdy children. All right, dice have been located, and I had to put them up on a high shelf, otherwise the cats get to them, and that's no good.
Understood.
So I am diplomacying.
You are diplomacying.
Well, that dice is gone. Okay, let's see. 14. A 28 is on the diplomacy.
28.
Impressive.
He goes, well, I suppose it could be fun. I will certainly consent. And he actually checks with Hummingbird Wingbeats, is his boss.
Right.
She is the leader of the Wings of Woe, and she does give permission for him to come. And he, Thraravil has joined the party.
Temporarily, at least.
Temporarily, we shall see. He is, you have noted that he is somewhat somewhat unstable. He is not a whole 100% there.
I would expect no less.
Just keep that in mind for what happens. But I would like you to make one other roll, and actually this you don't have a coin near you, do you? Oh, actually, you could just use a four-sided dice.
Yeah, I'll just use a whatever, even or odds. All right, so odds it is.
Okay. Just checking. So he is getting ready to cast the spell Aphiel, your familiar raven, correct?
Correct.
Is coming in, and that's when she spies something. She spies something that Tix and Athora are watching you. They are about to getting ready for their adventure, and suddenly Aphiel dives down and snatches something and comes flying back. And before you can say anything like, "Hey, Aphiel, what are you?" And then, and it feels like your stomach has left the building, and there's a incredible rushing sensation. It's actually not unpleasant. It's just very vertigo-inducing.
Sure.
You find yourself 50 feet up in the air.
Oh.
And you have a moment. I would like to just get a quick spot check from you.
Okay. Did Aphiel make it with me?
Yes.
Okay, good. So I actually have a spot check worth using. All right. Oh my. That would be. Let me check and see what her bonus is. 20. Non-natural 20.
Non-natural 20. Perfect. Okay. So one, Thraravil is there with you.
Good.
And is falling.
Oh boy.
Aphiel is there. You with a 20. You have that moment. You perhaps falls, quite a little bit before you realize what's happening. You can tell that you are roughly over the city wall. It's not an area that you've actually been to before, because Mascade is a very large city and
Sure.
It has a very big wall. You can actually see that the wall has changed somewhat since you've been here.
Mm-hmm.
You can see like it's literally under construction. There's scaffolding and things like that, and lots of pointy things to hit.
Oh.
I'm going to say that for the purposes of this, Thraudaville, as you can imagine, was not expecting this. What are you going to do?
Well, how far away is he from me? I imagine we were pretty close together.
Yes.
As a matter of fact, I mean, if it was a regular teleportation, I think I would actually have to be holding on to him.
Very good. Very good point. So that would actually put you, yes, holding hands. He is
Aww.
flailing somewhat. Yes. Such a sweet moment.
It's a special moment as we fall to our deaths.
That's right. You have this special moment that y'all can share together. And so I will actually say that, and I'm going to make a quick roll here.
Because I do have a fallback here.
He does keep hold of your hand. He is not expecting this, and so he's like, ah! And he's plummeting downwards. So what would you like to do? He is holding on to you.
Well, I will grab onto his arm with both hands to ensure that he doesn't slip out of my grip, and I will unfurl my wings to slow our fall. I realize it'll probably be still at a semi-rapid pace, but, because, by myself it would be more like a feather fall, but with the two of us together, I imagine it's going to be more than, I don't know how big of a guy this guy is. I'm picturing him being fairly small as for a human-ish.
Yeah, he is a classic, spellcaster build. He actually has, he has a little more meat on his bone than whip thin and everything, but he's not a big guy.
Okay.
So, it is much more reasonable that you can do that.
Okay, so yeah, I'd kind of like to just, unfurl and kind of angle us away from the whatever it is that's on top of the wall that wants to impale us, and make our way, angle toward safe ground.
Okay. So you, a couple of things. One, I would like you to make a quick, just straight dexterity roll. I want to see what that is. This isn't going to kill you or anything, but it's going to determine
a natural
things.
20, 22.
Natural 20, very nice. One, you hang on to him. It's not you staying aloft, it's you keeping hold of him, because there's
Right.
suddenly yoink as the wings catch hold of the wind. You are falling more rapidly than you would like, because another human annoyed holding on to you as y'all fall more and more rapidly. But as you head down, you actually hear a rather distressing sound, which is the sound of a captain saying, "Fire!"
Oh, no.
And comes through the air. There is a volley of arrows coming at you.
Oh, no.
You can keep hold of Throughterville, and you will have a disadvantage, or you can let go of him. You're now about 20 feet up.
Okay. So not death height, but maiming height.
Yes, it's still less than great. So you can let go of him and try to dodge more effectively, or you can hang on to him, and both of you will be a little more in danger of arrows, but less danger of falling.
Okay. Here's what I'd like to do. I'm going to kind of split the difference. I want to basically like pull my wings back into kind of like basically just like furl up the parachute for a second and let it go again. So basically I want to like drop about 5 to 10 feet free falling and then open back up again. And I realize it'll speed me up, but it'll be less than a full fall. And it'll also, draw me off the course of what they were expecting to shoot the arrows towards. So hopefully to dodge that volley at least.
I have several things in my life, like life lessons and life rules. And one of them I actually said during the last recordings that we did, which is with ticks. I said, if something is real, then it's real. Like, say, if a grave sludge is oozing into our sarcophagus, then it was outside the sarcophagus in the first place, which is why the other character could see it. These things don't just happen out of nowhere.
Right.
Everything, even magic, is real as far as it's real. To that same thing, I have another rule, which is if someone says your options are A and B, pick C. Never be satisfied with 2 options if you can find another way. And I love it. I love what you decided to do. So I will allow you to roll, and this is going to be a reflex saving throw.
Okay.
Okay, good. Aphil rolls quite well because she wasn't the main target, but this is a volley of arrows, so she's in range. So go ahead and make that roll for me.
Okay. That is a 16.
16? That will do it. You just yoink as you furl and unfurl and stop the descent just a little bit more and throw off the trajectory aim of these archers, who are doing a good job, by the way. Like, they clearly, this is a D&D universe. It's not like they're going to go like, oh, what could possibly be a humanoid that would fly at us? Like, they had Aarakocra visiting them, a few months ago. They're ready for this sort of thing. But you do successfully dodge, and Throtteville also remains unstabbed. Now you are able to land. Are you going to try to angle to go on the outside, on the inside of the gate, or are you going to try to land like on the gate where the guards are?
Well, I don't want to land on the gate because that seems really attacky, at least in their perspective. I think the safe bet would be to land outside the gate, because then I'm not looking like an intruder, and then I can talk my way in.
So you successfully land.
Okay.
It is. I would like you to give me one more reflex saving throw.
Okay. 17.
17. So both you and Throtteville succeed. You will take a total of 1 point of damage. So pretty good, considering you were 50 feet up, and that could have been 5d6 damage.
Yes.
In fact, going into like you said, catastrophic damage could have been less than ideal. You managed to land, and you hear all the shouts that you can imagine of as they're reloading their arrows, and the captain is giving out commands. What are you going to do?
Once I register that he's, not broken, I will remain in a crouching position, as if I just landed, and hold both of my hands out downward, so I'm not pointing my potentially magic wielding hands at anyone. So kind of like at a downward angle, but out. And so they can see that I'm not doing anything. And just shout, "Well met, Maskate."
Okay. Give me that diplomacy.
So 29.
29. Yeah, so the captain does call a hold as far as firing. And I want to throw out a couple of things because obviously, it's been months since you personally were playing in Maskate.
True, and things have changed since then.
Exactly. This is part of the kingdom of Hyboria, which is, roughly speaking, eastward. The place where y'all started was the kingdom of Beltrain, which was westward. Beltrain is the princess that you were trying to find, who was kidnapped in the original adventure. This is Hyboria. This is the kingdom of King Teshin, who you met, and who gave his blessing to send you as envoys to stop whatever horrible thing was happening.
And also has creepy cat's eyes.
I thank you for remembering. I was going to say that. He also has a royal vizier, who is not what he seems. Urtok, who is, a Raksh. You say it, please.
He's not a rock. He's a Rakshasa.
A Rakshasa, which is a very powerful kind of demon to be messed with, but apparently under his control. He had sent you and the rest of the party out to, save the day, along with that party of Aarakocra so many months ago out into the Penta Plains. So, also, this is the place where the Chicken Hut song originated, from the bard Fugly at Grundle's Inn. And it is actually one of the reasons that y'all are so relative. It's not quite right to say famous. You're not like King Arthur, but y'all have absolutely reached sort of folk hero status.
Excellent.
And a lot of that is due to that song, honestly, because it's so recognizable. So anyway, just wanted to give that quick little backstory and fill in. And what would you like to say to the captain?
Good captain, I have news for the king, and I'm here to report to him. My name is Penton. You might know my chicken shack.
Oh.
Bzz, bzz, bzz. Neon lights.
Yes. He says, "Oh, yes. I remember you from the Battle of the Docks.
Yes.
I was there, and obviously, a whole bunch of guards and troops were advancing behind y'all during the battle, behind the adventuring party that is the official, the local superheroes, as it were, is led by Grand Duke's Vigil Fist, and so they lead the charge whenever there's something crazy going on, and then of course the army supports."
Right.
So it's not unreasonable that this guy was there, and he says, "But what's going on? Why have you appeared out of the middle of nowhere? We nearly killed you."
I apologize for the sudden appearance, but I've traveled here from Kalimvor, if you can believe it, with my trusty acquaintance here. And I don't know if you heard about this, but the chicken shack may have suddenly appeared in the middle of town. Have you heard anything like that?
Oh, yes. It is what everyone is talking about right now.
I'm sure.
We would be more than happy to point you in the direction of that. If you do not mind, there have been a great deal of tenseness in the lands of late. Rumors of war and strange creatures abound. Would you be willing to submit to a zone of truth to verify?
Absolutely.
Very good. If you would come to the side gate here, and I will bring forth a cleric, and we will take care of this.
Okay. Note to the DM. Mm-hmm. Zone of Truth does not work on Penton.
Interesting. Why doesn't it?
So, yeah, as of 8th level, actually. He has a feature called Mind Shielding, which prevents anyone from discerning lies or reading his thoughts or discerning his alignment.
Fascinating. Well, that is the sort of thing that is well beyond the knowledge of this particular captain.
Truth.
As far he does have a general understanding that a zone of truth is not perfect, because obviously people can resist it. But in general, if y'all both can pass it, then that will pretty much satisfy him. Plus, he recognizes you. But again, if something is real, it's real. You're in a Dungeons and Dragons universe. There are changelings. There are hats of disguise.
Exactly.
A very mid-level adventurer could have all kinds of things to look like somebody else.
Yeah, I take no offense at them being extra cautious.
Yeah. And so they bring this pudgy little cleric comes out. He actually he's human, but he actually reminds you a little bit of Tix, except that he's just he clearly, if Tix never went adventuring, he kind of would remind you of that. And he comes out and he's like, it's actually kind of funny. And you feel the effects wash over you, and your aura just kind of, deflects it, and he is completely unaware. Thralaville says, "My name is Thralaville, and I am an illusionist for the wings of woe, and I like the smell of my armpits. I did not mean to say that." And looks very, very ashamed. And what do you say?
Hello, everyone. My name is Benton Chalice, and I'm a spell scale sorcerer. And I'm here to treat with the king, inform him of what our group has discovered while we've been away, and to, well, frankly, say hi to my girlfriend, and get our hut back, who's been adversely sent here against its will.
Seems good. Okay, come on in. And the captain ushers you in. And what would you like to do first?
Okay, well, I think, the worldly priority is figuring out where Audrey is, because she's got the staff. And that takes precedent over everything.
True. Well, there is one person who supposedly, as far as you know, was able to make contact with Audrey, and that is Skald.
Exactly. Let's kill two birds with one stone and head over to head in the direction, at least, of the Skald's jeweler shop. And if it's obvious that the hut is somewhere else, and probably be able to tell along the way.
You make your way down. As you do, the guards, a couple of the guards are escorting you both, and there's like a very slight kind of commotion as word is spreading. It's like, this is the guy from the hut. Yes, the hut. The sorcerer. Yes, the glowy one. Yes. And like little snatches of the battle, and then of course there was also the battle that you had in front of the jewelry shop, where the meteor came out of the sky,
and the imps and
that actually had the false witch of the lowlands that turned out to be the Boo Hag. Whose name, funny enough, is Teef. But y'all have actually never heard that. You make your way down, and you see in the distance the slightly upper scale, shops and such. The armory where Maresi got her armor upgraded, and you see the very elegant, 2-story jewelry shop that is Skald's.
Right. One thing, as we're walking, I kind of want to chat up the guards that are walking with me, and ask them things like, has anything weird gone on around here lately? I mean, other than the obvious, appearance of a chicken hut, out of nowhere, like, say, 500-foot tall creatures showing up in the waters, or, weird tentacle-faced robed people flying around, or anything like that. Just weird stuff. Anything at all?
So the guy you're talking to, he doesn't know a lot. But what he does know is there have been disappearances in the town that seem to be outside of, this is a big city and stuff happens. There are rumors of strange happenings on the Sand Swallow Sea, of ships going missing, for instance. And with a casual inquiry, you as far as you know, the good ship Pisswhistle is still among us. It is not currently in dock.
Good.
But there've been lots of rumors of war from the kingdom of Beltrain, and historically, the two kingdoms have, been at war at various times. They are currently not. That is how you were able, ever so many years ago, you were able to safely travel through Massgate when you traveled down to the Witch of the Lowlands, far south of here, to find the staff in the first place with the princess.
Right.
You actually came through this area, even though y'all were traveling with a regiment from Beltrain. But it seems like tensions have gotten worse, and that is what he says is going on around. And just to let you know, as you went inside, what you could see is that not only were the walls being fortified, just kind of, the general, built up and repaired and all that kind of thing, but there are actually like these stone pillars that are spread evenly just in front of each place. You don't need any magic, which of course you have a lot of, to know that those have some magical purpose of defense. Okay. That's all you're able to get from him specifically, because he rolled very poorly.
That's fine. We will approach the jeweler's shop. I'm assuming she's not out and about anywhere making commands or anything like that of people and getting things done, like she sounds like she was doing the last time we talked.
Well, it's and thank you for remembering that, because when you approach, she actually steps outside and she tilts her head slightly and she sniffs slightly in the air. And you look at her and, she's an elf. And elves don't get tired the way other people do, because they don't sleep the way other people do. But even with that, she doesn't have the look of like someone who's careworn or sick or anything like that. But you can see this is someone who's been working very hard in the last few months. Like, she just has that look about her. She's a very put together person, like meticulous. Yeah. She does have both her earrings and her necklace, which, of course, as y'all said before, basically makes her Daredevil. She is blind, but that is very little of a detriment to her, even without them. But with them, she is able to conduct her business very well. And she looks over and says, "Who is that hideous countenance that I see before me?"
I speak to the side of him and I say, "Gentlemen, give us a minute."
They immediately back off, and then like you could tell, like one of them, like his hand like reflexively comes up, like he wants to like fist bump you, like and then he checks himself, and she is far too put together to like rush out at you, but she does actually increase her pace and walk towards you, and she holds out.
And as soon as we make contact, I give her a huge kiss.
Aww. Wonderful. I will not make you roll for that, because that's stupid.
Because that's super juvenile.
It's a wonderful kiss, and when she breaks, she looks into your face, which of course she's looking at the shape of your face, and she goes, I don't miss sight the way that some people do, but in that dream, it was really nice to see you.
It was very nice to be seen.
Well, I assume that you are here for your little friend.
Yes, to that. I hope that she didn't cause too much trouble when she suddenly appeared out of nowhere.
She was quite a handful, and some minor carts were destroyed. Unfortunately, no one was hurt. I
just hear an echo in the back. My cabbages.
Yeah, exactly. There was a couple of guys like, I got to get this pane of glass across the street. Didn't go too well, but she was able to reconcile everything, and she says, I really want to tell you about everything that's going on in town, but there has been a very sudden development that needs to be addressed.
Oh dear.
The hut has gone.
Gone?
Yes, and I know where it's gone, but I haven't had a chance to try and retrieve it, because I was going to contact Vigil Fist and get some of his aid. But as you are here, perhaps you can help retrieve this Audrey, is it not?
That's correct. Audrey 3, for some reason. Never did ask why they called her that.
That's So odd, so odd. There must be a joke somewhere, probably from a play.
So with a sinking feeling, Penton asks, where did she go?
I clearly do not have the connection to the hut that you do, but as you know, I am not an unskilled artificer, and I have begun to bond with it slightly over the past couple of days, and I gained suddenly a flash of pure insight coming from the hut, and I saw in it the image of the place it had been very most recently when it was outside of the city gates. It was the mines where you had gone to retrieve my necklace.
Oh, well, I guess that's the most recent place you would have been before we left.
Or possibly it was my earrings. The dungeon master doesn't remember. But whichever one you got.
It was the earrings.
It was the earrings, yeah. As soon as I said that, I was like, I think maybe it was the earrings, because I was making fun of the bad guy wearing the earrings.
Yeah.
I am almost certain, and this has only happened within the last 2 hours, and I had actually sent message to Vigil Fist, but if you want to hurry on, perhaps we can retrieve it.
That's probably a good idea. I mean, who knows what kind of antics she'll get herself into in such a short period of time. She is a rather willful house.
Okay. So question, do you want Scald to come with you?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
She says just a moment, and she kind of glances over and she goes to, who is that? And Thralavil is actually sitting cross-legged, crisscross applesauce, and he's levitating about 3 inches off the ground.
I knew it. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
And as you knew, he peels himself and he goes, "It is I, Grand Illusionist Thralavil!" And he does a little, what you know to be just very basic prestidigitation, just a little firework display in front of him. And of course, he doesn't actually realize she can't see it.
Right.
Even though she can see him and the shape of him, she can't see his prestidigitation, and so she's just completely stone-faced and waits for him to finish. And she goes,
Just pretend you did a great job.
Yes, quite.
He's
quite
all
nice,
right.
quite nice.
He's my ride home. It's important.
Quite nice. Very well. Let me grab a few things, and we will be off. And she runs inside, and she told you before that she was an adventurer at one point, but that she had decided that being a well-paid jeweler, especially after her father passed and she inherited his shop, would be much more preferred.
Right.
So she gathers a little pouch that she has and kind of puts on a traveling cloak. She's ready to go.
Okay. I turn to the illusionist and I say, now listen, I don't want to drag you into any kind of danger or anything. I don't know what we're going to be walking into, so if you want to stay here and wait for us to come back, that is okay by me. I don't want to push you into anything you're not ready for or not interested in.
Okay, here's my question. Do you want him to come?
I mean, I wouldn't mind because, the more power we have with us, the better, but
okay.
He's also, like I said, our ride home, and if he dies, we're stuck here. So
You are. You are. So...
Or at least we're stuck flying for 2 weeks over the water. So
yep, it's up to you if you want to try to convince him to come. You can certainly do the negative, like, "Oh, I don't want to put it on you," kind of thing.
That's kind of what I was going for. I feel like between Vigil Fist and his crew and her and I think we'll be okay.
Well, I don't need to make the roll. I think he kind of wants to come. He kind of wants to see what's going on.
Okay.
And he's an adventurer. He's literally a professional mercenary. The very short conversations that you've had from Hummingbird Wingbeats that they, would sort of champion the cause of the those in danger, and they would also take on like very high-paying, high-risk jobs, and that is how they would make their money. These guys are no joke, and of course they almost killed you, so
True.
that they're no joke. But a great deal of that was, of course, from the paladin stabbing you a lot with his spears.
Yeah, that was a fun time.
Yeah, good times, good times.
So, okay, I mean, it's great if you want to come along. I just didn't want to, assume that you were going. That's all I'm trying to say, I guess. Then I will turn to Skull and I say, "Oh, you look super ready. By the way, there's something I should probably tell you about. And then he slowly unfurls his wings and lets her take that in.
She takes that in and she's like, how did this come to be?
Well, you know how I'm kind of like, got this kind of whole like holy connection to Bahamut and the dragon essence and all that. Well, it's been making some things be a little different, and that's one of them is, well, you see, I got infused with, like, I don't know if it was like an avatar of Bahamut that was infused inside this wind elemental, and it kind of flew right through me and like into me, and I was like a half dragon mutant for a while, and then I got better. I almost died. That was bad. And then now I'm kind of like part dragon a little bit. I mean, I'm still pretty. I just have wings now.
Well, aren't you full of surprises?
That's true. It's not what I expected, but I'm rolling with it.
I don't know what to say.
I hope this doesn't put you off too much.
No, it's quite, may I? And she, holds out her hand
please.
to your wings. She runs a hand along the, outer rim of your wing and goes, it's quite soft.
Oh, well, thank you. I never really thought about how they felt. I haven't really been feeling my wings. I've just been kind of using them when time comes up.
Aphil lands on her shoulder and goes, "Raw!"
Is that all you have to say?
Now, the dungeon master actually doesn't know. Obviously, I know that you can speak directly to Aphil, but can Aphil speak? As in, common?
Let me clarify on that.
Because there's a difference between those two things.
No, she can speak with me.
Mm-hmm. I didn't think she could just speak English.
Right. Yeah, she can communicate freely with me, so I basically understand her. Also, she can also now talk with other birds and learn things from them. So if the time comes and we're looking for some information, she can kind of talk with the local wildlife and see if she can find things out for me. Which, you know what? Which honestly is not a bad idea right now. But yeah, so she lands on her shoulder and says basically hi to me or something like that, but just a gawk to her.
Okay. Give me a quick spot check, but without Aphil's bonus.
Right, because she's not on my shoulder.
Right.
Oh no, that's a modified 1.
Okay, that will come into play in a minute, but it doesn't. It's all good. But okay. No, she actually said "rar," like she wasn't talking, like she just was making a bird sound and kind of cocking her head, and then she turned to you and says, "So this is the one, huh?"
Uh-huh.
Oh well, she's cute. I like her.
Uh-huh.
You don't want to say it out loud, do you?
I looked at Skull. I'm sorry, the bird's talking to me. I don't mean to be rude.
Aphil is literally giving you a hard time. It's just messing with you, and it's actually kind of adorable. She takes off again and says that she's going to scout ahead a little bit.
Yeah, and feel free to talk to anybody around and see if you can find, if they've seen anything with Hut, or, make sure that she's gone where we think she's gone.
Okay. So
that's just it's just a few miles out from here, right?
Yes, it's a few miles out. It's probably about an hour and a half walk. It's not super far. This is a mine that this rather unscrupulous gentleman was working. As you make your way out, I want to tell you this. Mm-hmm. There was a band of bandits that was going to attack you, and they took one look at a elven woman with jewelry, with a robe and a pouch, a spell scale sorcerer who's glowing slightly, and a staff, and maybe even they saw the dragon wings, and then they see this just bizarre looking spellcaster, and they just went, nope. Nope, we're just gonna sit right here. We don't want anything to do with that.
Yeah. Bandits are good for preying in the weak, and I don't think that's us.
Yeah. I really like. There's a fantastic book and blog called "The Monsters Know What They're Doing," mm-hmm. and there is no group of bandits unless they were 20 of them. If they were a full force, that would even consider attacking y'all. I mean, y'all, you are. Here's the DM screwing up again. You're level 8, right?
Yes.
Yeah, a level 8 spellcaster just looks really dangerous. And like someone who's stupid and not paying attention might not notice, but anyone who has an eye for that sort of thing, they know what a passing merchant with a guard looks like, and they know what somebody who casts fireballs looks like.
Yeah, I feel like at this level, the swagger really sets in.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So I just want you to imagine, maybe even in the corner of your eye you see them, and they just see that nope. As they just kind of back off.
Can wave.
Yeah. Just nothing to see here. I was curious what there were different circumstances that would have triggered that, but no, absolutely not. By the way, as I said, this is again realistic. This is the morning when y'all went because Throttaville had to rest in order to cast his high-level spell again.
Sure.
This is just late morning now. Probably, actually, I'll just say it's just past noon. As y'all are walking, that's when you feel cold. You feel a cold steal through you. What would you like to do?
Is it an environmental cold? Some sort of is it coming from a direction? Is it just, is my breath, starting to coalesce in my, in front of my face, or?
Your breath absolutely mists in front of your face.
Okay.
You don't know what this is, but it does not appear to be natural.
Do you feel that? I say to Scald.
She looks around and she's like, yes, I definitely feel that.
All right. High alert. I'll keep an eye out. You keep an ear out. I don't want to say I take a defensive pose right away, but just kind of play off I didn't notice, but, be on high alert while we're walking, if that makes sense.
Give me a spot check. And again, Aphil has gone ahead to spot.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, no.
Yeah.
Just no.
And Throttaville also rolls very poorly. However, someone is actually very perceptive because she can literally see 360 degrees around her with certain limitations, and she rolled a natural 20.
Fantastic.
And so suddenly you feel the slender hand of Scald suddenly grab the side of your robe and goes, look out! And she pulls you back. And just as she does, a ghostly hand reaching for you.
Eep.
I would like you to roll for initiative right now.
Okay. That is a 10.
A 10. So before you appears the pale, spectral form of a young woman.
Okay. Is it somebody I recognize?
Yes. Yes and no.
No, it's not Finna?
No, it is not Finna.
Okay.
That's a good guess. Your dungeon master wasn't thinking of that. This is, you recognize her, but she looked different the last time you saw her. This is the young woman who went inside the hut and died.
Oh, the one that just sort of at random showed up in the house and then was just a husk.
Yeah.
Oh.
And you realize you see off in the distance the tree near where you buried her. You don't know the circumstances exactly. Your best guess was that she was either seeking shelter or maybe looking for food, and she grasped hold of the skull and it killed her.
And I have somewhere on me her name.
You do,
because it was stitched into her clothing.
It was.
And I never got a chance to look for her family because we were a little busy.
You were very, very busy, and this is not your sins have come back to haunt you.
Right.
There was no reasonable way for you to find who it was. It wasn't like she had a wallet with an address. There was just the name stitched, almost certainly by her, mother or someone like that. The dungeon master tried to find her name before this adventure and couldn't. So we are going to say that her name is Erin.
Okay. I listened to this like a couple of weeks ago, but it's not coming to me.
Yeah, that's okay. If listeners, if I had it wrong, this is her middle name. But
She went by Aaron.
she went by Aaron. That's right. But she actually reached for you, and now it is your turn.
Ooh, I don't want to immediately harm her by kicking on my glow, because
Your glow will harm the undead.
Exactly. So I'm gonna take Scald's arm, and take a cut and lead her a couple of steps back from her. Does it seem like she was looking to advance? Does she look angry? Can I even see her at all?
You can see her even in the middle of the day. You can see her. What was interesting is that Scald could see her, but then again, her necklace and earrings are magic. So
apparently she can see into the ether, so that's cool.
Exactly. You don't know the limits of of it.
But is she looking aggressive? Is she looking desperate? I mean, what's the deal?
I'm sorry. This is like a reflex for those for ticks. I need you to make another spot check for me.
Oh sure. How about 15?
So you can roughly read her expressions. It's hard because one, it is daytime and ghosts aren't that visible in the day.
Right.
But she looks forlorn. She looks upset. She definitely looks sad. And she looks like she looks like she wants something from. What you can definitely see with your 15 is she doesn't look furious. This isn't, like you have been attacked by lots of undead.
Right.
And undead are ruled by their passions and their commands and such. And she doesn't have that face of snarl. But she still is very dangerous looking.
Okay, so I'm guessing more the vein of a lost spirit who was buried on the roadside because they had their bodies sucked dry by a vampiric hut. That's going to put a spin on anybody's death.
Definitely. Well, and that's the sort of thing that absolutely causes ghosts.
Exactly.
Is unexpected and dramatic death.
Basically, what I want to do is try and make eye contact with her, assuming that she wants to even acknowledge me as a person rather than just some sort of entity walking by that she wants to attack. And say her name. Aaron, I remember you. I buried you after your loss. And I'm so sorry about that.
So I need you to make a roll for me. This is a diplomacy.
Okay.
But you obviously, do you get an advantage with your glow?
I just get a +2 with good, but she's at
right.
best neutral, I'm sure, at this point. So
right.
that's
well,
not really an issue.
You're not, you don't have your glow on. Because if
right.
you did, it would have damaged her, and that is a whole other thing. So it's a straight diplomacy roll.
Okay. 28.
Okay. She is advancing towards you, and she pauses. And you hear it sounds like her voice is coming from the end of a tunnel. And she says, "Where am I?"
You are on the road near Massgate. Do you remember what happened to you?
I was running, lost. No, not lost. I didn't know where to go. Yes, I was scared, and I saw a little hut, and it was so much bigger inside. It was so much bigger, and I heard something. It said something about food, and I was so hungry. I was going to see if there was any food inside, and then it just was so dark. And then I felt you come by. I felt you because you did bury me. Gods, I'm dead, aren't I?
I'm afraid you are.
I don't want to be here. What do I do? I'm cold. I'm alone.
We're right here with you. We're how far from are we from town?
Yeah, I mean, you're an hour and a half
halfway,
walk.
halfway. Yeah, we're about halfway or maybe more. I just want you to rest, and we can find someone who can help you move on so that you don't have to suffer anymore.
Will you tell my mom?
Where is she? Do you know? Where was she before where was the last place you remember her being?
It's a farm just north of Mascate. The Houghton Farms. Houghton, that's my family.
Houghton. I will find them. I swear it.
Thank you.
And she fades out. And that was resolved without combat, as it definitely could be.
Whew.
At that moment, Afiel comes flying back. For just a moment, you see Afiel, but then you see something else. And you see just this giant, shadowy raven beat its wings just once. And you think you just had a glimpse of an aspect of the Raven Queen.
That's what I was wondering.
Mm-hmm. It doesn't take care of anything, but one of the things that you know, and your party has had encounters with the Raven Queen, is that she is a goddess of death, but she is a goddess of balance. Death should not be prolonged. She is against unnatural prolonging of life. And so you think this was basically a approval, which is never bad to have a blessing from a god.
Straight up.
So just an FYI. But now Afiel comes back through the aspect. It's kind of like a moment and then like a mirage that she flies through. And she comes to report back, and she says that several of the birds nearby, and she says the equivalent of, "Oh, stupid blue jays. Oh, my God." just the worst. And she says they have seen Audrey. Audrey definitely came this way. And Audrey went right into the mines. And that's where we'll end. Chafing Armor, episode 126. Good job.
Thank you. I feel like I can talk my way out of anything at this point.
There were so many different ways this could have gone. I was trying to be prepared and flexible for what you might want to do. I like what you did.
Me too. I don't think I would have survived fighting a ghost anyway, so
no, ghosts,
for the best.
Ghosts suck. And poor Tix and Athora had to fight one just recently. They also had to fight a wight, by the way.
Oh, no.
Yeah. They fought a wight with a very unpleasant sword, which Athora now has possession of.
Ooh, I can't wait to see that.
It's going to be interesting. It's going to be really interesting. But thank you so much for playing, James.
I'm happy to do it.
Well, we'll be back in 127 to see where this goes. But until then, we will roll with you soon.